Destruction in the wake of massive northwest storms.
The ferocity of the wind that went through, I thought that was the end of it.
Flash flooding as authorities warn it's not over yet.
This is Southern Cross News with Joe Parker.
Good evening, everyone. Tasmania is tonight in the grip of an extreme weather event. Multiple storm systems have hit badly, affecting the northwest coast. In the light of day, these were the sites of damage. Turners Beach and Round Hill at Burnie, some of the worst affected areas. Residents have described the weather as tornado-like, and we're being warned the danger isn't over. Today, intense rain also caused flash flooding around the Launceston area, closing roads and inundating homes. Our special coverage begins with Hannah Sinclair, reporting from the epicentre of the destruction.
This is the trail of destruction. 10-tonne buildings flipped upside down, local shops demolished, caravans obliterated. The wild weather ripped roofs from buildings, downed power lines and uprooted trees. The storm left no stone unturned as it raged across the northwest coast last night and this morning.
It started to hail, large hailstones on the roof, and then the hail sort of diminished and stopped. And then I heard this terrible noise coming through, like a freight train coming through.
Cyril Stevens was inside his marine shop as the roof began to collapse. The 68-year-old was taken to hospital with minor injuries to his hand after he used it to protect his head as bricks fell onto him.
Probably one of the most frightening experiences I've ever had, actually. Actually, I thought I was dead, actually, to be quite honest.
Devonport's JMC Trade Centre, also one of the places hardest hit. 3 cars which were waiting for their new owners to pick them up, crushed by a portable building. Owner Errol Stewart says while it will cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to fix, it's fortunate the storm hit after hours.
If it had been 2 or 3 hours before, it could have been really devastating. Hopefully we wouldn't have been out there in a wind of such velocity, so perhaps fortunate just at the right time.
Sales manager Andrew Garman was outside when the tornado-like winds hit and had to take refuge beside a van. He says if the vehicle wasn't there to shelter him, he would have been blown away.
It was so strong and there was so much rain and everything at the time as well. The wind was blowing so strong it sounded like a jet engine.
A caravan park at Turners Beach also victim to a mini tornado. One man who was renting his caravan was asleep inside when the wind blew it apart. Locals say he had presents for his family inside, which have now all been destroyed.
It's a bit sad for everyone that's lost. There's a few more damage down there, so people without insurance and that, so yeah, it's got to be a pretty bad time for some of the people here.
Other members of the Turners Beach community are reeling after the local bowls club was torn to shreds. Part of the roof caved in while some members were inside. Club treasurer Warren BELCHAMBERS says the temporary closure of the venue will be a huge loss to the community.
This is the local spot for just the odd person around the area that wants to come and have a quiet beer, and they'll be missing that for sure.
Emergency services have been working through the night and day to repair the damage and begin the massive clean-up effort.
And our reporter Hannah Sinclair joins us now from Burnie. Good evening, Hannah. What's the situation like on the ground?
Joe, as you can see, it's still very windy with some light rain also. These terrible conditions are making clean-up efforts extremely difficult and causing further damage to businesses and houses on the northwest coast. Warnings are still in place tonight and members of the public are being asked to avoid the inclement weather. And while there's been extensive damage to many people's homes, at least no one was seriously injured or worse. Joe?
Yeah, thank you very much, Hannah. We'll see you a bit later with an update in our bulletin. While the wind is causing most of the damage on the northwest coast around Launceston, it's the rain causing problems. Rachel Williams joins us now. Rachel, hello there. What are the conditions like at the moment?
Hi Joe, there's a severe weather warning in place and it's easy to see why. It's truly wild and windy down here tonight. Thankfully the rain has stopped for the time being. Emergency services crews were kept extremely busy throughout the day around Launceston, with flooding the major problem. It usually has pristine river views, water frontage of a different kind this morning. This house in Windermere bearing the brunt of flash flooding.
This is obviously an unusual amount of rain. I think according to the council on the SES, it's been classed as flash flooding. So it's affected a few houses. We've got a house down the road, people away in France, uncontactable.
Inside, equipment in the lounge room and gym ruined. Sentimental items belonging to her deceased parents gone.
Now it's floating around. There's not much I can do about it. Obviously it's a bit upsetting, but yeah, at least I've kept upstairs.
The SES and fire service on standby with pumping equipment, but the water subsided naturally, revealing the extent of the damage. A shed strewn across the lawn, damaged parked cars, a big clean-up ahead.
Quite messy. So it's quite muddy down there.
Residents in Rochelle also recording damage bills.
I had to get my beetle pushed up to high ground because it was halfway. It was actually seeping through.
An emergency dash required to move these horses away from danger as flood cut off parts of Lilydale Road, the Shetland pony at most risk.
It sticks to the big ones, and luckily they got the higher ground, which was the main thing, so made us a bit happier.
Around a dozen roads closed around the West and East Tamar regions due to the deluge, including this section of the East Tamar Highway, 3 lanes covered by water. Police diverting small vehicles to another road as trucks were allowed to drive around. And with more wild weather predicted, residents are on alert.
I'm worried with this rain now, it's going to be all night, so I think I might have to get sandbags.
Just about to borrow a bit of land at the moment, so I'll have to go up and see the owner and just talk to them for a bit and see if they mind having them for a while.
So, Joe, authorities have upgraded the flood warning to moderate level for both the North Esk and South Esk rivers, while there's a minor flood alert on the Meander River. Authorities say the conditions up on Ben Lomond are the equivalent of Antarctica, and as you can see here, the conditions don't seem like they're going to let up anytime soon.
No, they certainly don't. Thank you very much for that report, Rachel. The Weather Bureau has warned us it's not over yet, with rolling cold fronts expected to continue until Friday. TasNetworks says it has put all its crews on high alert as thousands of homes and businesses lose power.
From the crack of dawn, TasNetwork crews were out in force. Fallen trees caused more than 3,000 homes and businesses to lose power right across the northwest coast overnight. Another 600 losing power in outages across the state today.
What's happened is as the weather events have gone through, we've lost power in different areas. So just as we managed to get on top of it, there's new areas that have gone off.
Technicians are working overtime to bring power back tonight.
If it stays as it is now, we're on top of it. We should have most people on by tonight. Our biggest concern at this stage is up Mount Barrow. The road's closed due to flooding, so that may be a concern. That's got telecommunication sites.
The Weather Bureau says the wild weather's set to continue in the north.
A front coming through every 10 or 12 hours and very strong winds. So the rain and the winds will pretty much continue till very late Thursday. The final front goes through on Friday.
And while the South's escaped the brunt of the bad weather, expect a cold snap later in the week.
On Thursday and Friday, we end up with snow down to 500 and then 300 metres respectively.
For more information on power outages, call TasNetworks on 132 004. If you need assistance, call the SES, or in a life-threatening emergency, call 000.
And our reporter Annelise Nielsen joins us now live from the State Emergency Service headquarters in Hobart. Annelise, what's the latest from the SES?
Hi Joe, I'm here with George Kretzu, Assistant Director of the SES, to tell us more about the emergency management. George, how many calls for assistance have you had?
Tasmania SES has had approximately 70 calls since 6 o'clock last night. A lot of those started off in northwest Tasmania, where we had a lot of roof and building damage and trees being blown down due to high winds. As the period progressed, North region then had some incidents of a similar nature, but we also had a lot of flood inundation problems in the north of Tasmania.
On that, we have a flood warning for the north of the Tasmania for the rest of the night. Can you tell us a bit more about what you're doing to prepare for that?
We've been working with the community in northern Tasmania, particularly Launceston, helping them get hold of sandbags as a precautionary measure. People have been collecting their own, or we've been delivering them, and we've also been getting around the communities that are regularly affected by flooding, asking the members of those communities to start preparing.
And we've got some bad weather expected for the south of the state too. How are we preparing here?
In the south, we've been told by the Weather Bureau that we're going to get high winds tonight up until about 2 o'clock in the morning. So we've got our SES units on standby. And what we'd like to do is just ask households to stay vigilant, keep the kids inside, reassure the kids and other family members that this should pass by about 2 o'clock in the morning.
Excellent. So that's the latest from the SES headquarters. And to stay up to date, you can check the website at any time. Back to you, Jo.
Yeah, thank you very much. Annelise Nielsen joining us there from the SES headquarters. The northwest coast has been particularly hard. Our reporter Hannah Sinclair is in Burnie and joins us now. Hannah, hello again. What's the latest on the weather conditions?
It's still pretty nasty here in Burnie, Jo, and it's certainly not making cleanup efforts any easier. Currently, the wind is blowing very strongly and there's a little bit of light rain persisting. We've been told these conditions may last for another 3 days, and that comes after very extreme storm systems moved through this area last night and this morning. Here's Rachel Williams with a look at how the day unfolded.
It's been described as a mini tornado, and those in its path would agree.
When the bricks started to fall and the ferocity of the wind that went through, I thought that was the end of it.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars damage caused to buildings in Burnie, Devonport and Turners Beach. So powerful, the wind ripped roofs from buildings and even flipped a 10-tonne building on top of 3 cars, forcing people to run for their lives and find shelter.
Behind a van here, and if that van wasn't here, we would have easily been blown away.
Power restoration crews sent into overdrive with disruptions in many areas.
The major impact was last night, mainly through the northwest area, so it was very severe around Burnie and up the north. We had about 3,000 customers off at the height of the storm.
Around Launceston, a number of homes were inundated and a dozen roads were closed by fast-flowing torrents. Residents battening down the hatches for the immediate future.
The winds are all northwesterly, so it's going to be the west coast and the northwest that will be bearing the brunt of the systems for the next few days.
For more information on power outages, please call TasNetworks on 132 004. If you need assistance, call the SES, or in a life-threatening emergency, call 000. Rachel Williams, Southern Cross News.
With more on our weather, Peter Murphy.
Good evening. Hobart 13 degrees today. Launceston, Burnie and Devonport all reaching 14. Bicheno 17 the top, while last night Mount Victoria received 81 millimetres of rain, followed by 29 today to head that list. St Helens, Swansea and the Islands 15, Low Head and Wynyard 14, Geeveston 13, Ouse and Strawn 12. But of course it wasn't about the temperatures, it was all about the effect of the wild windy conditions which we've shown you during the bulletin tonight. The cloud sequence shows a series of cloud bands surrounding Tasmania with cold air to the south of the state and also more brewing south of the Bight. Most of the mainland cloud-free apart from the far south coast. And there's the closer view of all that moving across the state today. Tomorrow, more cold fronts cross the state, and that front just clipping Western Australia. The cloud ahead of that is going to affect everywhere from Perth to Melbourne, including Tasmania. The northwesterlies will be raging again. Expect 35 to 45 knot winds, reaching 50 knots early over southern waters, decreasing to 30 knots for a period in the afternoon. But we also have 6 to 7 metre swells stay on the land. A severe weather warning for potentially damaging winds for the entire state. A storm force warning from Tasman Island to Low Rocky Point. A gale warning for remaining coastal waters. A moderate flood warning for the north and south Esk and a minor flood warning for the Meander. Also a strong wind warning for southeast inshore waters, a small craft wind alert for the lakes and a sheep graziers warning for most districts. You thought it was windy today? Well, it doesn't let up tomorrow. Hobart 14, 13 for Geeveston and 13 for Bothwell, windy and showery. For Launceston, more of the same, 15 the top, 15 for Devonport, 13 for Cressy, very windy in the north too, and in the northwest it continues. Showery and windy, Burnie 14, 12 for Strawn, Curry, windy and showery 15. For St Helens tomorrow, showers developing, 15 the top, 16 for Swansea, Orford 16 as well. Now to Thursday, showers again, but mostly clearing the east, thunder and hail for the west. Scattered showers on Friday, contracting to the west and far south later, snow to 300 metres. Fine on Saturday apart from a shower over the west and far south. Showers, as I mentioned, for Perth, Adelaide and Melbourne, along with Canberra and Cairns tomorrow. Fine and sunny for Sydney and Brisbane. Still showery, 11 degrees in Hobart, 14 right now in Launceston, Devonport currently 13 degrees. Still the potential for damage overnight, Joe, with this weather right around the state. Let's hope people know what to do if they're affected.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you are caught in these wild weather conditions, here are the numbers for you to call. For the latest information on power outages, contact TasNetworks on 132004. The SES Storm Assistance line is 132500. But remember, if your emergency is life-threatening, call 000. And that is your news for this Tuesday, the 29th of July. We hope you stay safe on the roads this evening and indeed in your homes. We'll be joining you with updates a little later in our bulletin, but for now, on behalf of the entire news team, take care and we'll see you again tomorrow night at 6. Bye for now.